Keeping cool during the New York City summer of 1943 was a real challenge. It's the Grand Prix in Monaco, 1937. George McLaurin, the first black man to be admitted to the University of Oklahoma in 1948, was forced to sit in a corner away from his classmates. John Farnsworth is getting covered in kisses by actresses in New York, 1944. East Harlem, 1975. The game continues on. Old Faithful Geyser, 1870. From 1931 to 1938, a woman named Miss Silly worked with tigers in the circus. There's a group of men and women sitting in a fallen tree. This was around 1910. A remote-controlled model helicopter. The setting is Pennsylvania, and the date is April 16, 1941. Two girls stand outside a snow fort, 1910. William Howard Taft signs Arizona into statehood in 1912. Abby Stockton midlifting 135 pounds in the 1940s. A man with Down syndrome. It was the 1890s. Post officers are showing off their brand new Autopeds scooters. Washington, D.C., 1917. The Nazis are singing to encourage people to follow their boycott of Jewish shops in 1933. The news crackled over the airwaves. It was 1945 and the broadcast announced the German surrender. It was the end of World War II in Europe. The scene was playing out in Okinawa, Japan. The face on Mars. It's an image of a formation on Mars from the 1970s that launched a million conspiracy theories. During the Victorian era, a woman's hair was considered an important part of her appearance. It marked her status and her femininity. They sent the crumb snatcher to Grandma's, a postman with a baby in his mailbag, when it was possible and legal to send children through the U.S. Postal Service, 1913. A utility worker is giving mouth-to-mouth to a co-worker after he contacted a high-voltage wire in 1967. Two childhood friends meet during a protest. One is a factory worker, the other is a riot officer. This took place in Brittany, France in April 1972. An Inuit man warms his wife's feet, Greenland, in the 1890s. There's this woman, Patricia O'Keefe, a real powerhouse of a bodybuilder. Believe it or not, she only weighed 64 pounds herself. And get this, she's giving a piggyback ride to a man who weighs 200 pounds. It's just an incredible display of strength. This was back in 1940. Two little girls are talking with their grandparents in East Germany over a barbed wire fence. It was a barricade that later became the Berlin Wall back in 1961. There are women pictured at the Waldorf Hotel in New York City in 1945. Soup cooling spoons, 1948. A man holds a Krumlov. This was an experimental, curved rifle barrel attachment that the Nazis developed during World War II. It was used to shoot around walls and over barriers. The Rocket Express, a monorail, carried kids around the toy department on the 8th floor at the John Wanamaker department store in Center City, Philadelphia, in the 1950s. The Knobbly Knees Contest. A Knobbly Knees competition, or Knobbliest Knees, is a parody of a beauty contest in England, 1953. It's 1944, and you're looking at a pretty unusual sight. There's a fake city built right on the roof of a factory. This factory, by the way, was cranking out Boeing combat airplanes. It's all happening here in the United States. A donkey is seen with a rocket launcher strapped to its back in Turkey in 1930. It seems like the dog wants to say something. A crow lighting the cigarette of Tippi Hedren on the set of The Birds, directed by Alfred Hitchcock in 1963. It's Christmas time, 1930. Imagine a scene of pure holiday cheer. Someone's busy decking out their car. They're probably adding some bright lights, maybe a big wreath, and whatever else would make it festive. It's a classic, and it makes me smile just thinking about it. All right, here we go. This is a picture of a young man, about 20, wearing a white shirt and a dark suit. He's sitting at a table. There's a white tablecloth and some flowers in a vase. He's holding a book. Behind him, there's a large window. The room looks very elegant. German soldiers are reacting to footage of concentration camps, 1945. Let's take a look at some old photos of the cast of Friends. So this is a spray tan vending machine from 1949. Young Jimmy Carter was working as a nuclear engineer in the United States Navy in 1948. There's a fighter plane, a Grumman F6F Hellcat that crashed in the ocean. It's in the water, and it's sitting upside down. The ocean floor is visible. Linda Carter, who was 21 years old, Miss World USA, 1972. A rocket-propelled bicycle, Germany, 1931. Tsar Nicholas II. It looks like a selfie stick, but he was probably just checking the camera when it went off. On March 29, 1956, a fine spring day, Hollywood royalty Grace Kelly visited the Cartier store in New York City. The inauguration of Rebecca Latimer Felton in Georgia in 1922. She became the first woman to serve in the United States Senate in 1922. Using an unexploded 16-inch naval shell for a resting place, Marine Private First Class Raymond Hubert shakes a 3-day accumulation of sand from his boondocker. July 4, 1944. It's a stark scene, isn't it? A long, long line stretching down the street. People just waiting. You get the feeling they've been there a while. It brings to mind the struggles of the Great Depression. Times were tough back then, between 1929 and 1940. Scarcity was everywhere. Makes you think about what it must have been like. Groucho Marx and Lucille Ball are goofing off at CBS KNX radio studios in 1945. Coast Guardsmen are on the deck of the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Spencer, and they're watching the explosion of a depth charge. The charge blasted a Nazi U-boat's hope of breaking into the center of a large convoy. This happened during the sinking of U-175 in 1943. There was an anti-KKK group called the Invisible Jungle, Knights of the Tiger's Eye, a new secret order, in 1922. Beechnut Girl in Harlem, 1940s, Harlem, 1940s, Beechnut Chewing Gum Girl making a sale. Manhattan, New York, around 1917. There's a horse-drawn car and a modern tram right next to each other. In 1917, a French Red Cross dog wore a gas mask protecting it during wartime. These dogs played critical roles in delivering messages and aiding wounded soldiers. Alfred Hitchcock and Alma Reville on their wedding day. (1952). Entertainer Gene Kelly is executing a leap over film cans labeled with titles of his movies. There are street Arabs in the area of Mulberry Street, New York, in 1880. Loggers sit on the stump of a giant sequoia in 1904. A photographic portrait of Sigmund Freud, circa 1921. A girl is doing the Lambeth Walk, a popular dance craze of the late 30s. December 1940, Starkey, Florida. Construction workers drinking beer in Soldier's Joy Cafe near Camp Blanding. So making the Titanic's anchor chain at Hingley & Sons, 1909. Theodore Roosevelt on a cougar hunt, 1901. Charles Atlas, also known as Angeli Siciliano, a pioneer of bodybuilding and fitness in his prime. That would be either the 1920s or early 1930s. California Street, San Francisco, 1964. Martin Luther King Jr. removes a burned cross from his yard in 1960. The boy is his son. During the 1930s, kittens were already risking themselves at high altitudes and causing trouble for electric company employees. Queen Victoria, 1887. Let's talk party games from the 1940s. "15-year-old revolutionary Erika Széles, The Hungarian Revolution, 1956. Ouch, 1940s. A family is playing on a unique homemade four-person swing in Finland in 1954. In the 1890s, there are 3 women on bicycles in Helsinki, Finland. Gospel car number 1 constructed by William Downer in Glassboro, New Jersey in the late 1910s. The photographer was above the skies of Berlin in 1912. There's a man, perched way up high. He's standing on one of the very first cables being strung for the Golden Gate Bridge. This was back in 1935. Imagine being up there, a tiny figure against the sky, watching the whole incredible thing come together. What a view. And what a job. It looks like there was a bad crash in Boston back in 1930. All right, so it's a test audience reacting to the chest burster scene in Alien from 1979. April 25, 1930. Children are playing cricket in a London street. The wicket is drawn on a lamppost. Ray Conklin, president of the New York Motor Bus Company, is with his superb bus 1915. Annie Oakley around 1903. Before she became famous as an actress in All in the Family, Maude, and Golden Girls, Bea Arthur worked as a truck driver and typist in the United States Marine Corps Women's Reserve during World War II.